If you own a business, run a business, if you're an entrepreneur or a professional, or if you plan to become any of those in the near future, then this show is for you. Once a month between my regular Michael Yardney podcasts, I have a Build a Business, Not a Job podcast with my business partner, Mark Creedon. Mark's the founder of Business Accelerator Mastermind, and these shows have proven to be particularly popular. I can just see it from all the downloads we're getting. So I hope you're going to get benefit out of today's show as we discuss with you some of the myths that surround setting up a business, running a business, what to do, because what that does is stop many people building themselves a business and they end up with just having a job. And that's not really what they want, is it? So welcome to this episode of the Michael Yardney podcast.
Welcome to the Michael Yardney podcast, where twice each week you will learn a number of new ideas regarding success, property investment and money in around 30 minutes. Our show is brought to you by Metropole, who specialise in helping you grow, protect and pass on your wealth through strategic property and wealth advice. Now here's your host, Michael Yardney, Australia's most trusted property commentator who has once again been voted Australia's leading property investment advisor. That's the fifth time he's won a similar award in the last 7 years.
I'd love to have a chat about some of the common myths business owners believe that hold them back from achieving what they deserve, what they should be getting. So for our regular Build a Business, Not a Job podcast, I've got on the other side of the microphone Mark Creedon, founder of Business Accelerator Mastermind. Welcome, Mark.
Hello, Michael. Good to be here.
Now, Mark, in previous podcasts, we talked about the reason to grow a level 3 business. I'd like to go into a bit more detail, but if people haven't learned that concept, a concept of there are different levels of business and what we should try and achieve, could you quickly go through that as a start?
Yeah, absolutely. So there certainly are different levels of businesses. So, Michael, we talk about there being essentially 3 levels of business. So at level 1, that's often where you start up, you've got a great idea and you're starting to turn your idea into a business. The problem with a level 1 business is you're doing everything in the business. So you've got to be involved you're doing the marketing, you're doing the selling, you're doing the administration, you're running the business, you're hiring, you're firing, you're doing absolutely everything. So a level 1 business is really at the starting point. And what it does is it gives you, whilst it gives you a starting business, the downside is you've really got no control of everything and you have absolutely no freedom. And what often happens from there is we move to a level 2 business. Level 2 is where you're starting to get some controls in place. You've got people doing some things and you're starting to get a little bit more control around the business. But unfortunately with level 2, and Michael, as you well know, this is where lots of businesses get stuck. Unfortunately, level 2, the business still relies entirely on you. So if you're not working, the business isn't working. If you're not there, the business isn't happening. If you do go away, either nothing happens or potentially the whole thing falls off the rails. So while you've got a little bit of control, you still have no freedom. So what we're really looking for to achieve is the level 3 business. And the level 3 business is where you do have lots of controls in place. You've got lots of systems and processes and lots of things happening that give you that higher level of control, but more importantly, that level of freedom.
Well, that's what everyone wants, of course. They leave their boss because they think they're smarter than them, or opportunities come up, or maybe you've lost your job, so people go into this. And this discussion that we're having today really isn't purely for people who own a business. It's also, in my mind, for professionals, for doctors, lawyers, accountants, for people selling services. And in fact, if you think about it, it also relates to a lot of people who listen to our podcast who are property investors, because they should treat it like a business. In fact, it's often worth more than other businesses, isn't it, Mark?
Michael, it is, and it's a point that you always make, is that as you're looking at your property investing, you should be thinking about that as a business. So absolutely, what we're going to talk about today is really quite broadly useful.
Of course, everyone wants that, the business where they can go away and it makes money and they come back and they're worth more than when they went away on holidays. But most don't achieve it. So I'd like to discuss a couple of things with you today, Mark. First of all, let's start with the simple answers of why it's worth building a level 3 business. And then I'd like to cover the myths that stop people getting there, so that at the end of this session, people who've taken the time to listen to this I'm talking to you, listener, are going to have a better understanding of how they can achieve a level 3 business. So let's start with, why should I even bother, Mark?
Yeah, great starting point, Michael. I like to think that there's really 7 major benefits of taking your business up to that level 3 point. So getting to that point where you do have that level of freedom and control. Let's run through those 7 points. I guess the first thing, Michael, is it really gives you control over your financial future. So it doesn't really matter what sort of economic conditions you're looking at. If you've got a level 3 business, you've got depth, and therefore you've got financial strength, and that enables you to make the choices that you want for you and your family. So as economic conditions change, if you've got a level 3 business, you've got a level of control over the financial future, and you've got a certain level of buffer, if you like, to be able to deal with and resist any changes in the marketplace. So that's number 1, gives you control over your financial future. Number 2, it actually increases your net worth. So the average level 3 business is 10 times more valuable than its level 2 counterpart. We spoke about making that shift from level 2 to level 3, and we know that generally speaking, we can look at around about a 10 times component if we actually get to the point where we've moved to level 3.
Let's make it clear, Mark. The reason your business is worth more as a level 3 business is it's saleable, because you've scaled it and it's not dependent on you, so somebody else can step in. Otherwise, it's dependent on you, and who wants to buy that?
100%, Michael. And, what we say in Business Accelerator Mastermind is it's about being scalable so you can be saleable. So absolutely, it increases.
Hey, I like that. That's good wording.
Thank you. So we know that if we can get it to that saleable point through scaling it, then you do actually have an increase in your net worth.
Clearly, to get to level 3 business, you've got to invest time, you've got to invest energy, you've got to invest resources, Mark. So you've given us a couple of good reasons why. Let's discuss a couple of others.
I think one of the big, we spoke just before, Michael, about the idea, and what we talk about in Business Accelerator Mastermind is getting your business scalable so it's saleable. The thing is that in order to get your business scalable, you actually need to move to that level 3 position. It's actually easier to scale at that point. By its very nature, it's easier to scale. It can actually accommodate growth. And Michael, you know, and as I do, we've seen growth in businesses that we've worked with at 100%, 200% growth, because they've put in place the things, the systems, the processes that you need to put in to have a level 3 business. They can actually get to that scalable position and get there much faster.
Okay. What about time freedom? Everyone wants that.
Yeah, it's a bit like the Holy Grail in lots of ways, isn't it, Michael? I mean, certainly getting the opportunity to get yourself free from your business. I think I've shared with you before, one of our business mastermind members contacted me recently, and he said, Mark, I'm going to change my name. I want to change my name. I said to him, John, what's that about? And he said, I'm sick of everybody in the business calling my name on a daily basis. So in his business, he was still moving from that level 2 to level 3 position, but everything relied on him. He was the go-to person for absolutely everything in the business. And I'm sure right now there'll be a number of people listening to this where this is starting to really ring a bell in their business or their professional practice, Michael.
Well, Mark, I know that over the years we've worked together, and we started our relationship, which is now a friendship and a partnership, as you being my business coach and my unreasonable friend. And I guess not everyone knows about your background. We probably should talk about that at another occasion, of how you've coached some very, very successful entrepreneurs in Australia and a few overseas as well. And you've gotten my business, my life, to the point where I jokingly say I conduct the orchestra and other people play the instrument. So, yeah, I am still involved because I enjoy it, because I'm having fun, but I'm choosing who I play with. I'm choosing the bits that I do. I'm choosing how often I do it and where I do it. And that's one of the real benefits from having a level 3 business. But there are other benefits as well. So you get freedom from your business. But I find it also helps you maintain and keep and acquire the right sort of staff.
Michael, when we looked at moving your business to the level 3 and getting that level of freedom for you, one of the things we looked at was the vulnerability of a business which relies entirely on its owner. And one of the big things that we see regularly is where the big vulnerability comes in is the inability of a business to secure really good quality staff, because good quality staff are going to be looking around going, okay, where does my security sit? And if everything in this business rests on this one person, what happens if something happens to that person? So whether they decide to don a saffron robe and travel the world in sandals, or whether they get, hit by a Yarra tram, it doesn't. But the end result here is that they feel very insecure. So you're less likely to be able to secure and keep really good quality staff, Michael.
I guess the other benefit of being able to do that, Mark, is that you're not as vulnerable, you're not as dependent upon one person, be it yourself or other staff members.
That's a really interesting point. It's a nice flow on from the last point, because in the last point we spoke about the vulnerability if something happens to you as the business owner. But if the business is at a level 2, the difficulty is that you can then become incredibly reliant on one person in your team as well. So once you get to that level 3 point, not only is the business more stable from a staff perspective, it's also more stable from your perspective. You've got depth, and so you're not so reliant on any one other person in your business.
And I guess one of the reasons many of us get into business isn't just to have a job, to get money, but it's to leave an impact, leave a legacy on your community and on the world. And you can do that once you've got a big business, Mark.
Michael, you can. And I guess the thing about having a level 3 business and having it truly scalable, there's a couple of things. One, it means that your business can grow, and so you can certainly impact more people in the marketplace. You can sell more product or more services. You can help more people if part of your business is to actually help people. But the other thing, the freedom that it gives you, not just in your business. One of the great things that I love about being in business is being able to have the opportunity to make a contribution back to my community. I always like to think maybe that I'll leave the world just a slightly better place when I leave than when I came. And so the opportunity to have that level of freedom in your business that enables you to go out and do the things that you wanted to do. In Business Accelerator Mastermind, Michael, we always refer to it as it's helping you to be the best person that you can be through scaling your business.
Now, Mark, in a moment, I want to discuss the 4 most common business owner myths that stop them getting to level 3 business. But a couple of times you've mentioned Business Accelerator Mastermind. So some people who are listening to this are probably wondering, what's it all about? What's he saying? So could you just quickly explain Business Accelerator Mastermind?
Sure. Michael, Business Accelerator Mastermind is a program where we work with business owners to help them to scale their business to the very level 3 that we've been talking about. And the thing about the Mastermind program, it's a great mix, Michael, of group work, of one-on-one coaching. It has the ability for you to access the material 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from wherever you are in the world. Everything's cloud-based. And we get the opportunity to actually dive deep into your business, not only on a one-on-one basis, which we do all the time, but also in a group basis where you get the opportunity to actually link up with other successful people who are going on that same journey. And we know that one of the big issues for being in business is that sense of isolation and loneliness, Michael.
Definitely. And so if people want to find out more about this, they can go to metropolmastermind.com.au. And there's a link in the show notes, metropolmastermind.com.au, and you'll find out about it. Now, some people wonder, why Metropole Mastermind? Well, really, you started as my business coach over the years. You and Caroline became good friends with Pam and me. And I like the idea. I like the concept so much. I invited you to be my business partner so we could, first of all, scale it out to people within my own business and then to a lot of our clients, and it's grown and grown. So I'm happy to have a small part of Business Accelerator Mastermind. So we, as I said, back to metropolmastermind.com.au if you want to find out a bit more about it. But let's get on to the question I asked a moment ago. What are those myths? What have you in your many years of coaching found holds people back from either going into business or building a scalable business, Mark?
It's interesting. I think there's probably 4 myths, I think, Michael, that I hear mostly. And the first one I hear is it's just too risky. And I mean, I've been told that. I was told that as a young man when I first started my first business in my early 20s. Oh, it's just too risky. Just go and get a job. But, Michael, I used to look at all the people who were trudging their way to work on a Monday morning, looking like they were terribly miserable, hating what they did for a living. And I knew that wasn't for me. So I knew that I had to move into my own business. But the concept or the myth is that, it's too risky. And it's really interesting because the statistics don't actually support that, Michael.
Really? I thought, I guess I was brought up thinking the same.
Yeah, well, what do they say? There's 3 types of lies, damn lies, and statistics. So you'll often hear that it's too risky, so 90% of businesses fail within the first 5 years. But if you dig down into those figures, you'll find that's actually not the case. In fact, generally speaking, a startup business with at least one employee has around about a 70% chance of being in business after 2 years and still a 50% chance of being in business after 5 years. So where these figures become really misleading, Michael, is they simply look at bald data, which is a start point and an end point, and they don't take into account the fact that a number of businesses close down for a whole bunch of reasons, not because they haven't worked, not because they failed, but maybe because they've merged, maybe because there's been illness, maybe the people have moved, maybe they've been brought out. There's a whole bunch of reasons why a business doesn't still operate after 5 years, but the statistics on the face of it don't actually show that detail, Michael.
Well, I guess the other thing is that part of the reason some businesses fail is because not everyone's able to be a business person. They don't understand enough about it, and they make a mistake of not having coaches, mentors, the right people around them to get to the next level. So they're really not even a business. It's a level one business, which in many ways is a job. And so we see this all the time. They'll buy a franchise or they'll buy the local 7-Eleven, and they work really, really long hours. Hard work isn't going to be enough to get you out of the rat race, Mark.
No, it isn't. It's a really good point, because one of the things that we do in our Business Accelerator Mastermind program, as you well know, Michael, is we have a very clear model that we work on. So we take people through the process. We show them how to plan. We show them how to implement. We show them how to innovate in their business, and ultimately then how to evolve to that level 3 business so that they actually have that scalability and that control and freedom we've spoken about. But it's one of the reasons why businesses don't last, is that people often go in, they come up with a really good idea, and an idea without a plan is just a dream. And so what they do, they've got this idea, they don't have a real plan, they don't have controls and processes in place. So often they haven't sought the right advice and they haven't taken the right steps. And if they'd got on board, got the right advice, taken the right steps, joined a mastermind group and got lots of support behind them, they probably would actually have survived, Michael.
Well, I think the story about being risky comes, my father told me the same thing, from the concept of the old days where having a job was seen as secure. So running a business was seen as risky. But today, what job's secure? The world has changed.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, even the Prime Minister's job isn't secure. So
only today I read that we've had as many changes as Prime Minister as Italy. Boy, is that a shame.
I saw this great advertisement the other day for Skoda vehicles, and it said, "Our warranty lasts longer than the average Australian Prime Minister."
Right. So as we're going through the myths, number one that stops people building a business is it's too risky. Myth number 2, Mark.
Myth number 2, Michael, is it'll consume your life, that it takes over everything that you do. It's so intense that all you do is work. You get out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning, your feet hit the floor, and you work till 10 o'clock at night, and you get no free time. Now, we know that at level 1, there's elements of that are true at level 1. But in some ways, that's exactly what we do in Mastermind, Michael, as you well know. The idea is to get you out of level 1, get you out of level 2 really quickly, and get you to level 3 point. So it doesn't need to consume your life. If you have controls in place, if you've got processes, and you've got a plan, then you can move to that magical shift, if you like, that'll give you that level of freedom.
Makes sense. Myth number 3.
I love this one because I see this all the time. And that is the myth that you have to stay in control. And if you think about it, this is really what we're talking about in terms of a level 3 business. So we're talking about the fact that you don't actually wrap your business around you. You don't make the business so that it's dependent on you. In fact, the whole purpose of Mastermind is to actually get you to level 3 so that you have that level of freedom. So you've got freedom from the business, and the business can run for extended periods without you. Now, Michael, you and I both know people who we've worked with, who I've worked with over the years, who can take 6 or 8 weeks away. They can travel overseas and they can come back and the business is running fine.
Stop looking at me, Mark.
No, you still call me when you're in Rome. So
yeah. About business, or was it about personal things? Anyway, I apologise, but I know what you're saying.
So, I mean, the thing is, if we can get systems and controls and scalable solutions in place, then we can debunk that myth pretty quickly. In fact, I wouldn't be interested in helping anybody go into a business if their plan was for them to stay in control. And in fact, if that's exactly what they wanted to do, they probably wouldn't be a good candidate for Mastermind, Michael.
Makes sense. So it's something you've got to learn to let go of. And that's very hard for certain personality types. Okay, the last of the 4 myths we're going to discuss in this particular podcast, Mark.
Michael, number 4 is that it takes a lot of money to launch a new business. And whilst one of the reasons why some businesses fail is undercapitalization, the more that technology develops, the more technologically advanced we become, the more this myth becomes nonsense. Because you can start a business up. I mean, I've seen businesses, really good businesses, grow to level 3 pretty quickly, and they started with sort of less than $10,000 of startup capital. So the concept of having that you have to have a lot of money. And Michael, let me give you a real example. There's somebody in our mastermind program at the moment who you know really well. And when he first started working with us about 12 months ago, he was actually working in a job and he really wanted to move into his own business. And what he said to me was, I can't move into my own business because I've been told I have to have $200,000 in the bank before I can start the business. Now, we debunked that myth pretty quickly, and we've scaled him from startup to level 2 and bordering on level 3 within 12 months.
I remember, and he's done very well. So, again, that is partly because he's had good people around him. That mention that you said a while ago about isolation is a big challenge. And having control doesn't mean you can't have a smart team around you. You've heard me say it before, if you're the smartest person in your team, you're in trouble. That's one of the reasons I've always had business coaches, and it's one of the reasons I'm prepared to invest in coaching and educate myself. I heard a while ago that you should spend at least 1% of your net worth and your income on yourself. So apart from tithing and giving to the community and giving money to other people, you should tithe to yourself and keep improving yourself. And that's one of the principles I've always well, it's not a spend, it's an investment. So that's one of the principles I've always done for my business. And I know I spend over $100,000 a year on personal development and coaching and mentoring because I get a fantastic return from it. And I know the gentleman we were just speaking about, if you asked him what his return on investment would be, it'd be very high, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be. It would be. And Michael, you had the opportunity to speak with him again at our most recent Mastermind Intensive, which, can I just say, is a really other important point about Mastermind, Michael. Not only do we work on the one-on-one and we get the group components, but it's the getting together that we do 3 times a year, where we get our mastermind members together in a one room and we have this great think tank where we have the opportunity to go through some of the process under our plan, implement, innovate, and evolve process, but also the opportunity to really speak with other business people, share your stories, share your wins, share your losses, and learn from each other, which I think is a really important component.
Well, Mark, thank you. That was a great conversation. We've discussed why you should build a level 3 business and what a level 3 business is. You've shared with us 4 of the common myths that you've seen amongst your clients that's stopped them either entering a business or getting to the next level. But there's lots more to go. So we're going to have these regular Build a Business podcasts. And if people want to find out more about you as founder of Business Accelerator Mastermind or the Business Accelerator Mastermind program, go to metropolemastermind.com.au. And when you do, you can find out about it and reserve a time to have a one-on-one chat with Mark, because Mastermind doesn't suit everybody. But if it does suit you and you want to, Mark will explain to you what benefits it could have. Thanks for your time today, Mark.
It's always a pleasure, Michael.
I trust you got some benefit from today's show. If you're planning to go into business, if you are in business, if you're an entrepreneur, understanding these concepts of what many people do wrong when they set up their own businesses will help you build a business, not a job. And that's what all this is about. And if you'd like to have Mark Creedon as your business coach, why not join us at Business Accelerator Mastermind? It's a great network of people where you get one-on-one time with Mark, as well as one-on-many coaching with a tribe of other successful entrepreneurs, business people, and investors. Go across to metropolemastermind.com, find out all about it, have a chat with Mark to see if you're suitable, because I'd love to be part of your business journey as well. Boy, has having a mentor, having a coach helped me and my team, and that's why I've put this together with Mark to help you build your own business or profession. We're going to produce these once a month Build a Business, Not a Job podcasts in between the regular Michael Yardney podcast. But if you want to find out more about Business Accelerator Mastermind, For the next podcast, go across to metropolmastermind.com.au and I look forward to being part of your business journey. I'll be sending you my next podcast real soon, so in the meantime, spend your time wisely.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Michael Yardney podcast, which was brought to you by Metropol, who help their clients grow, protect, and pass on their wealth through strategic property and wealth advice. If you like what you heard and don't already subscribe, you'll find us on iTunes or on your favourite Android app as the Michael Yardney podcast. Watch out for our next show, which comes to you twice a week, and you'll learn some new ideas about property investment, success, and money in around 30 minutes. To get more of Michael's thoughts, go across to www.propertyupdate.com.au and sign up for his daily morning briefing, and you'll hear from not only Michael but a group of leading property success and money experts. And just a reminder that the information you heard in this show today is general educational advice and not specific investment advice, as we don't know your personal circumstances. If you're looking for specific advice, why not ask the team at Metropol to help you?